Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear class. Today we will discuss about the diversity of amphibians, that is the survey of orders of amphibians and their evolutionary perspective. Now the question arises why amphibians are named. Because their class name shows that amphibians move between water and land, and they spend one stage of their life in water and another on land. That's why they are named as amphibians. Because the word amphibian is derived from a Greek word amphi meaning both and bios meaning life. Because they have two way of life, that's why they are named as amphibians. There are some general characteristics of amphibians, like amphibians are tetrapods, which is a non-taxonomic term. The term tetrapod is used for all the vertebrates other than fishes, like amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, and most tetrapods are adapted on land. Amphibians are divided into three orders, and these orders are the order Anura or Silentia, order Chordata or Urodella, and order Gymnophiona or Apoda. These orders have different species, like the order Anura includes frogs and toads, while the order Chordata includes salamanders and newts, and the last order, the order Gymnophiona, includes caecilians. Now the next term is adaptive radiation, which is the process in which a new species is formed in response to the opening of a new habitat. That is, if we can define the adaptive radiation in a way like the formation of a new species in response to the opening of a new habitat. This is the definition of adaptive radiation. And in the process of adaptive radiation, many groups of vertebrates were formed first during 250 million years of vertebrate history. Thus, vertebrates filled most aquatic habitats, and the prehistoric waters contained many active, powerful predators. However, vertebrates were absent on land. Only some arthropods lived there as predators. Therefore, there was no vertebrate predator on land to capture animals that moved near the edge. Some vertebrates developed lungs for breathing and muscular fins for moving. These animals found ample food on land in the form of arthropods. The arthropods are the major component of the diet of most modern amphibians. Thus, evolution of amphibians took place. Then adaptive radiations were produced in amphibians. It produced great variety of amphibians that exist today. Later convergent and parallel evolution took place in amphibians. Then widespread extinction also took place. Now the question arises, what was the first amphibian? Uh, in this slide you can see the word Ichthyostega in the last line, that Ichthyostega are similar to earliest amphibians. So no one knows what the first amphibian was. The structure of limbs, skulls and teeth of Ichthyostega are similar to the earliest amphibians. And two lineages of amphibians were formed in the late Devonian and early Carboniferous periods from this group of Ichthyostega, and these lineages can be differentiated by the structure of roof and the attachment of posterior portion of the skull to each other. And these two lineages were amniotic lineage and non-amniotic lineage. The detail of the orders of amphibians, that is, the first order of amphibians is order Chordata, meaning the tail bearing animals, because they possess tail throughout their lives, and they have both pairs of legs present. They lack middle ear. This order have about 350 species, And the examples of this order includes salamanders and newts. Now there are about 115 species of salamanders which live in North America. Most terrestrial salamanders live in moist forest floor with a litter. They produce aquatic larvae, and a number of families lives in caves. These caves have constant temperature and moisture conditions, which is considered as an ideal environment for salamander. And salamanders have two families. In this slide, you can also see the diagram of Ichthyostega. This is the image of a newt, and newts are the members of salamander family, and they have a lizard-like body shape. They are semi-aquatic. They spend part of the year on land, and they return to the water in spring to breed. Their eggs are laid in the water where they hatch into tadpoles, and then they proceed to develop front and back legs along with gills for breathing. And this is the image of a salamander. Salamanders are small amphibians that look like lizards but are not a part of the reptile family. They do not have scales, their skin is moist and soft, and they have long leg tails. There are three main types of salamanders, which are totally aquatic, semi aquatic, and totally terrestrial. There are two families of salamanders. These are Plethodontidae and Salamanderidae. Plethodontidae lives in dry environment. They are terrestrial and they lay their eggs on land. Their young ones are similar to the adults, while the Salamanderidae family live in moist environments. They are commonly called as newts, and they live in water mostly. They retain caudal fins. Salamanders exhibit pedomorphosis, and this is the phenomena in which larvae become sexually mature while still showing larval characteristics. This is the example of Plethodontidae, and this is the example of Salamanderidae. And this is the definition of pedomorphosis, that is the phenomena in which larva becomes sexually mature while still showing larval characteristics. This is known as pedomorphosis. The word pedomorphosis literal meaning is child form in Greek words, and the most dramatic form of pedomorphosis occurs in species that becomes sexually mature while retaining their gills, aquatic life habit, and other larval characteristics. Pedomorphosis takes many different forms in different salamanders. It alters the life history and shape of the whole body in some species, whereas in other species it alters only one or a few structures. The amphiomas lose their gills and activate their lungs before maturity, but they retain many general features of larval body form. Pedomorphosis is an important even in terrestrial plethodontids, which never have an aquatic larval stage. The second the second order of amphibians is order Gymnophiona, which is derived from a Greek word gymnos, meaning naked, and opinios, meaning of a snake. So the literal meaning of Gymnophiona is naked snake-like body, and they are the limbless amphibians. They have elongated body. They have segments on their body by annular grooves. They are specialized for burrowing, and their tail is short and pointed. They have rudimentary left lung, and there are about 160 species in order Gymnophiona. And the common example of Gymnophiona is Sicilians, and these Sicilians live in tropical regions of South America, which is their principal home, Africa, India, Southeast Asia. Sicilians possess a long, slender body, small dermal scales in the skin of some, and many vertebrae long ribs, no, they have no limbs and a terminal anus. Their eyes are small and most species are blind as adults. Special sensory tentacles occur on the snout. Because they are almost entirely burrowing or aquatic, caecilians are seldom observed. Their food consists mostly of worms and small invertebrates which they find underground. The word Sicilian is derived from a Latin word "cecus" meaning blind, because they are nearly blind. That's why they are named as Sicilians. Now the question arises, why the Sicilians appear segmented. The answer of this question is very simple, that because folds in the skin of Sicilians separate muscle bundles, therefore Sicilians appear segmented. The second question is why Sicilians are near blinds. Because a fold of skin cover partially the eyes of Sicilians, that's why they are near blinds. The third and the last order of amphibians is order Anura, which means without tail, because it is derived from the Greek word a meaning without and ura meaning tail. So they are the tailless amphibians. They live in moist environments, but a few even occur in very dry deserts. Their limbs are modified for jumping and swimming. Their hind limbs are long and muscular and end in a webbed feet. They have 5 to 9 pre-sacral vertebrae with transverse processes. Their post-sacral vertebrae are fused into a rod-like urostyle, and their tympanum and larynx are well developed. There are about 6,600 species of frogs and toads currently present in the world, and this order have only frogs and toads. This is the diagram of a frog showing the pre-sacral vertebrae, which are about 5 to 9 present in the frog, and these vertebrae you can see here that are somewhat having transverse processes, and below the vertebrae is a single rod like unsegmented bone that represents a number of fused vertebrae and forms the posterior part of the vertebral column of frogs. This long unsegmented bone is termed as urostyle, which I have mentioned in the last slide. So you can clear your concept by watching this image clearly. The life cycle of anurans like frogs and toads consists of three stages. These stages are eggs, larva, and adult. As the frog grows, it moves through these stages in a process known as metamorphosis. Frogs are not the only animals to undergo metamorphosis. Most other amphibians also undergo remarkable changes throughout their life cycles, as do many species of invertebrates. During metamorphosis, two hormones, prolactin and thyroxine, control the transformation from egg to larva to adult. The breeding season for frogs usually occurs during the spring in temperate climates and during the rainy season in tropical climates. When male frogs are ready to breed, they often use loud croaking calls to attract partners. Male produce these calls by filling a vocal sac with air and moving the air back and forth to create a chirp-like sound. And the eggs and larvae of these animals are aquatic. Larvae are called tadpoles, which possess well developed tail. Their larval body lacks limbs, and they are herbivorous because they possess a proteinaceous beak like structure which is used in feeding, and their larvae undergo metamorphosis, and then they are ultimately converted into the adult form. This is the diagram showing the life cycle of a frog, in which you can see that there are the eggs which are converted into tadpole larva, and the tadpole larva with two legs, and this is converted into four legs larva, four-legged larva, and This four-legged larva is converted into a froglet, which is ultimately converted into an adult frog. These are the some differences which are found between frog and toads. Frogs have large size, they spend most of their life in water or near water, they have longer hind limbs, their skin is transparent and less warty, while the toads are smaller in size, they spend most of their life in land, all of their legs are equal in size, they have dry and warty skin. Now we will discuss about the difference between frog and toads. Frog and toads are both amphibians and they are similar in many ways, but they are also different in a few ways. To be completely accurate, toads are actually a classification of frog. That is to say that technically toads are a kind of frog. Generally, frogs spend most of their lives in or near water. Toads, on the other hand, get out on land a little more and find their way into gardens and yards. Frogs also usually have moist, slimy skin, while toads have dry, bumpy skin. That is usually the best way to tell them apart. By the way, frog eggs are found in a mass, while toad eggs are more in a chain. And you can see here that the color of frog is usually green, while the color of a toad is usually brownish. And frogs are larger in sizes while the toads have small size. Frogs spend most of their life in water or near water, and toads spend most of their life on land. Frogs have longer hind legs while the toads have all legs equal in size. And the frog skin is transparent and less warty, while the toad skin has warts and its skin is usually dry.